Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to do the RStudio demo assignment titled RStudio Demo 1, how to upload data into RStudio and run basic descriptive statistics. This video is for the second part of the R and SPSS lab that you have to do. The first part is how to read basic output in R and SPSS. What we'll talk about now is how to install R and RStudio, and then how to load data from Canvas and from an R script from Canvas into the R system itself, and then to do basic analyses. So the first thing that we'll do is step one. And with step one, it's downloading and installing both R and RStudio. And what you'll notice is you have to first download R and install R in order for RStudio to work. So just to show what that looks like, when I'm downloading R, I would go to what's the R project. You'll see a warning message pop up just to make sure the link is safe potentially. The link is safe, and you'll get a screen that looks like this. And what you will want to do is, because we're installing this today, is to go to the link here titled R version 4.0.3 or Bunny Wunnies Freakout. When you click on that version here, you'll then click on this link here. Actually, you won't do that because that is not where you should download. That's a mistake that many of us make, including me. What you would do instead is you would go to CRAN and you would find which place you would like to download your information from. Notice that it's international. Depending on your internet, you would want to find one that is closest to you, which would be, I would say, let's see, probably Kansas or Dallas. Those would be the ones that are closest. Oh no, Oregon State. Oregon State would be the location that is closest. However, because of how R works, you can actually download it from anywhere. So in my case, because I want to say that I downloaded something that was located in Turkey, I'm just going to go to Turkey in order to download R. You can pick any location, and the only difference is it might take longer to download from some locations versus other locations. Once you do, you'll click on your operating system. For most people here, it's going to be Windows or Mac. If you're running Linux, then you would download it for Linux. And then if you are installing R for the first time, you would hit this button that says Base. And when you hit Base, you'll hit the button that says Download R. And then that pops up this window. You would save the file to download it, and then you would follow the steps to install it. Once you do that, and once you install R and make sure that R is working, the next thing that you would do is to install RStudio. And with RStudio, it is a free interface that allows you to work in R a bit better. So instead of just having information that is a language where you enter information, it responds, and you never see it again, with RStudio, you can create information and you can create what we call R scripts and use that to run all of the information that you need to run. And so in this case, because I actually have to reinstall RStudio, I'll show you how to download. So you get onto this page where it says RStudio, and you'll notice there is a desktop and a server version. You should download the open source edition of the desktop version. Again, open source desktop. Why? Because that's free. It'll send you to this version as well. And then what I like to do is I always include a web setup so that it will automatically save on my end so that I don't have to wonder where did I save my file that I downloaded from the internet. If you want to download the main version of any of the operating systems, you can here. What cookies will allow you to do is it will allow you to hit the green button here if you want to know which version of R you should download just off the top. Once that happens, we hit next. That's the warning message saying, do I want to install some software? I hit OK. And then I just uninstall and reinstall RStudio. And so next, 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 and then it installs. As it's installing, one of the questions that many of us have is, why are we learning R versus SPSS? Or why are we learning R versus Excel? And my thinking is, there are a lot of technology companies that are training a lot of college students how to do R for free to give them a economic advantage over having to pay IBM or having to pay Microsoft money for a specific program. Microsoft Excel is likely the most widely used statistics software, but R is soon going to be second. So R is now downloaded. Now I go to install version 4 of RStudio. And once it opens, well, this is what R looks like. I'm just going to clean out some data from a previous study. I'm going to check to make sure that this is the right version. If you notice, now it says 1.4.1 or 1143, so I know that's the right version there. And then R is now saved as R version 4.0.3. And so before we go into the second step, the first step is figuring out, well, what are we working with? And here are the 4 windows that we have that we can work with when we are doing information gathering or statistics in RStudio. So it's there, our demo 1. And what you'll notice is there are 4 windows that come up. Window number 1 is what we call the scripts window. And this is where if you develop a script, you can include any information that's relevant to the script that you're working with. On the bottom left is the consoles package, and the consoles package is where all of the statistics in R are actually done. On the top right is the environment, and the environment or history or connections or tutorial. All of this can help you with learning what's in R and how you can work with R. And then the bottom right is where files and help and further information are available in case you need to look at any relevant information. So once you get to here, you can actually do some customization under global options to change the look of what R looks like, or you could change things up depending on how you want them to look. And so with that, that's step one. So as for step two, well, now that you have your R demo file, what you can do is install relevant packages and then install relevant information that could be relevant to what you need to do. So what you'll notice here I'm just typing one package that I forgot to type before. This first section here is where you could install the packages. And if you notice, when there's a hashtag in front of a line, nothing happens. Coding languages treats hashtags as comments. So this is now saying that I have a comment of what I wanted to do. Or I'm just adding a comment to something that I've already done before. What you would want to do is to download this file and the file titled, or the data file for Canvas as well, and put them somewhere in your computer. What I would suggest is make a folder for everything that you do related to R, and just have everything populate there. Now, if you're installing this for the first time, what you'll notice is when I take the comments out, the text goes from one color to another color. And when I hit the play button here, it would install all of the packages for me. Once I do that, I put the hashtags back, and now it goes back to a comment. After I do that, I change my author name from my name to your name or your group's name. I then load the data here, or I load the packages first, and then I load the data. And you'll notice that it says you can either type in this location to your data file manually and replace this path here with where your file is saved, including the file name, or we can go back to the Environment tab, click on Import Data, go to Library Read R, and then I would find where my data set is. In this case, Classes and Lectures, Cerritos College, R scripts, and then that's the file name. I hit Open, and I change the name to something that's relevant to me, which in this case is JeffDat, or short for Jeff Data. I unclick the button that says Open Data Viewer. I copy all of the information here. I hit Import, and now my data is imported. And if you notice, there's data on the top right now to show that it imported correctly. And then I just copy the file extension that I had, or actually I recopy all of that there to that, and I put a tilde in front of the file extension. The tilde says, if you find a file extension that looks exactly like that, then that's good enough. I then if I did everything right, I should see 5 variable names here. And I should see that I have 150 participants and 5 variables in terms of my dimensions. I do that, and life is good. Now for part 3, all I do for part 3 is I just run the play button, and it gives me a table of favorite types of candy by students, as well as basic descriptive statistics for all of the people in my study. And I can go from variables to min and max, range, skew, kurtosis, and standard error. That's what's at the far end of the distribution. What's on the near end of the distribution is number of people in my sample, the mean for each variable, standard deviation, median, minimum, maximum, range, and then what we'll talk about later, a measure of skew and a measure of standard error. Now, what's also helpful is, well, knowing different types of descriptive statistics by a group. So if we notice from this table, we have 4 different types of favorite candies: Kit Kats, M&Ms, Skittles, and Starburst jelly beans. As an aside, Starburst jelly beans are my favorite because they are the best in every way. But what would be useful for me is to know, well, does it help, or are there differences between students based on what their favorite type of candy is? Do they like the textbook differently? Do they like music differently? Do they have a different class rank? And so what I can do is I can say, well, let's group the people by favorite type of candy, and then ask for a specific statistic. For instance, the mean, the count, and the standard deviation of how much music they listen to on average. Or the mean and the standard deviation of how many of them like the textbook. Or the median of class rank. And the reason we ask for the median only for class rank is because that is an ordinal variable, and as an ordinal variable, we should only report the median. So I hit the play button, and I get something like this. So I get all 3 outputs, and it tells me which one is which. But it also doesn't. Like, I would have to remember which variable is which. What I would do instead is, when I'm looking for just music, I would just run that one line for music. And I can see the mean for how much music they listen to in a day, broken down by favorite type of candy. I would then do how much do they like the textbook, and then I would look at the median for class rank. And so that's step 3. Once I do all of that, I would make sure that these lines here are hashtagged out so that they are in green. I would also make sure I have my tilde here so that I know where I'm saving my file, which is part 4, or the last part to make sure that the data runs. And then I would make sure that my name, or the name of anyone who I worked with on this assignment, is listed here, as well as the correct date. So today is 2/3. I save it as 2/3. And then I hit what looks like a knit icon. And I do that. Now notice I have a link here. Why do I have a link there? Because I forgot a dash. I add the dash, I save the file, I hit knit. You see it's working here. It then says an output is created, and then the output is saved. And now when it's saved, you see names are here, the file title is here, and all of the data that you worked with is now here. Once you do that, the last part of the assignment would be write a short 2-paragraph summary of what did you investigate and how do you describe your data overall. And then, well, how do the groups differ from each other based on your descriptive statistics? Do they differ a lot? Do they differ not as much? Are there any differences? And what you would want to include are any relevant descriptive statistics that you talk about. Some people say you should do it in a table. Other people will say that you should report it in text. Think about what is the best way to report your data, and then report it that way. And then, to finish up, once you do everything, you should have 2 files that you upload. File number 1 is a file that has your 2-paragraph write-up. And file number 2 is the output file that you created that had your output investigated from R saved either as a doc file or a PDF file. Upload both of those components and then you're good to go. And if there's any questions, feel free to email me or ask about anything that's going on. And that's the RStudio Demo 1 assignment.